The Pokemon Company actually responded to what's been going on. Oh boy. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Spectre here, bringing you another Pokemon Sword and Shield video. As if things couldn't get any crazier, it seems that the fan response to Pokemon's E3 announcement of no National Dex in Sword and Shield has only been growing stronger. If you somehow don't know what's going on, I did release a video on Tuesday explaining why exactly there is so much uproar, and that will be appearing right now in the iCard at the top of your screen, so go check that out before you watch this video for some more context. Now at this point, if you go to any of the Pokemon Company's tweets and scroll through the comments, you're likely to just see infinite responses with the new hashtag #BringBackNationalDex, which actually started trending on Twitter yesterday, and the same goes for Junichi Masuda's Twitter page, who of course is the head of Game Freak and a director for the Pokemon Company. It seems there's an overwhelming consensus among the Pokemon fans that the National Dex should be included in these new games, and I can definitely see why. I honestly think this is a good thing. It's allowing the fans, who are the customers, to allow their input to be heard and express their opinions on what should be included in the game that they're inevitably going to be paying for. So long as people aren't harassing the developers or threatening them in any way, I think it's healthy for a fan base to be able to express their wants and dissatisfaction with certain elements of the games. More importantly though, after about 24 hours of complete silence on the issue, the Pokemon Company and Masuda himself have finally responded to the fans in a couple of interviews with US Gamer and Famitsu magazine. Unfortunately, it seems there is even more bad news to come, but there is a tiny piece of information that could indicate some good news in the future. A glimmer of hope, if you will. So without any further ado, let's dive right into it. So first is the US Gamer interview with Junichi Masuda, in which he was asked exactly why fans won't be able to transfer many Pokemon to Sword and Shield. Let's see what he has to say. He starts off by saying, there are a couple different parts to the thinking behind it, but really the biggest reason for it is just the sheer number of Pokemon. We already have well over 800 Pokemon species, and there's going to be more added in these games. And now that they're on the Nintendo Switch, we're recreating it with much higher fidelity, with higher quality animations. Now this is something that I don't get at all personally. We all know it's a lot of work to develop new models for what is likely to be around 1,000 Pokemon if you include the different forms and whatnot, but it's not a new thing. X and Y did the same for 721 Pokemon plus forms, and that's pretty much without any 3D prototypes to work with. The thing is too, it's not like these models won't have immense usability in the future. Video games have been stuck in the kind of 1920 by 1080 HD format since like 2006, and HD gaming doesn't seem to be going anywhere. We can't even yet imagine what would occur in the future. The next step would be like holograms or something, I don't know, since even VR uses HD models. The 3DS line of games lasted about 5 years and they were still willing to redo all the models. But HD gaming has already lasted for 13 years and doesn't seem to be going anywhere, so if you finish all the models now, you're pretty much set for the foreseeable future. A move to HD home consoles for Pokemon has also been inevitable for quite a while. Why not just finish them all now, and that way you can reuse those models for years and years to come? And I understand time constraints, but this is obviously something they should have prioritized. The Pokemon themselves are the key part of the entire franchise. Without them, there is no Pokemon. And if they're so pressed for time, then why is Game Freak working on an entirely new game called Town on the side? Yes, it's a different section of the company that's working on the side game, but wouldn't you want to invest your people and resources into what has been your company's most successful franchise by far, in order to avoid backlash and ensure that it's as successful as possible? When the franchise is finally heading to a home console, and a very successful one at that, Game Freak definitely has the resources to be able to get this done, there's no question about it. But a huge part of their company is working on a side game in the middle of Sword and Shield development, which seems absolutely crazy to me. Anyway, let's keep going with what he says. Next, Masuda states, but even more than that, it's coming down to the battle system. We're making sure we can keep everything balanced and give all the Pokemon that appear in the games a chance to shine. Now this I find to be pretty darn silly. The Pokemon that appear in the games will have a chance to shine, just like every past game where there's been a regional dex initially as you play through the game. This allows new Pokemon to take the spotlight, along with some older favorites that people can choose if they want. But then in the post-game even, when the game is done, people are limited to just using those Pokemon in battle too? Why? The battling system would be so much more diverse with more Pokemon to choose from, obviously. Keeping everything balanced does not include erasing Pokemon from existence. If anything, why not create a battling system based on usage stats like Smogon does? That way, depending on what tier people choose to play in, they can use different Pokemon, and that way all Pokemon get a chance to shine in their respective tiers. Game Freak's consistent choice to say, oh, this set of Pokemon like Arceus, Xerneas, Primal Groudon, etc. are banned, everything else is fair game though, is exactly what causes Pokemon not to be used. A proper tiered battling system fixes this without having to erase people's favorite Pokemon that they've loved using for possibly decades, and have competitively trained and or shiny hunted for. Some Pokemon are going to be better than others, that's an unavoidable fact. Otherwise, we might as well just have 1,000 of the same Pokemon. So why not create several different tiers at which similar quality Pokemon can be used and battled fairly, based on the observed usage stats in the Nintendo Switch Online battles? I don't get this line of reasoning at all. Anyway, next he says, we knew at some point we weren't going to be able to indefinitely keep supporting all of the Pokemon, and we just found that Sword and Shield would probably be a good point to go back and reevaluate what would be the best selection of Pokemon that appeal to the widest audience while keeping into consideration the balance of the battle system. So this, to me, it kind of contradicts what he just said about the battling system. He doesn't want, certain Pokemon to be overused and, have the game off balance, yet let's just include all the fan favorite Pokemon. I don't get it. Let's keep going though. It isn't just going to be all new Pokemon in the Galar Region Pokédex. There's still going to be a lot of favorites that fans will be able to bring over that they've adventured with previously. But yeah, it was pretty much just balancing and getting this optimal selection of Pokemon for the adventure we wanted to provide. Again, for the adventure, that's fine. Keep a limited regional dex selection of Pokemon for the in-game, as with all other games, to promote the new Pokemon. But don't restrict our choices in the post-game. Post-games have been lackluster enough recently, but now we'll have a limited selection of Pokemon in the post-game when there is supposed to be freedom, a dynamic and complete competitive metagame, and an infinite realm of possibility with the Pokemon you love that keeps the game interesting for years to come. Now, before we get to the good news, unfortunately, Omori and Masuda also had an interview with Famitsu magazine in which they stated both Mega Evolutions and Z-Moves would not be in Sword and Shield whatsoever. Now, Z-Moves I can understand, it's just a type of move essentially, and moves come and go with the generations. We've even seen, for instance, Grookey using a move called Branch Poke, which is entirely new. However, Mega Evolutions have been an absolute fan favorite overall and provide an opportunity to diversify the competitive metagame, provide some awesome new Pokemon designs, and make subpar Pokemon better and allow them to shine, which is exactly what Game Freak just claimed they wanted to do. Again, this is limiting our choices even further and cutting down on more Pokemon essentially, and instead just replacing them with bigger Pokemon with the Dynamax feature, which they apparently created separate models for, which could very well be a part of the reason they didn't want to include all the Pokemon. Again, too much work. But finally, the good news, the glimmer of hope that we can all desperately cling to. In this same Famitsu interview, Omori and Masuda said that there is currently no decision to bring the existing Pokemon that can't be in Sword and Shield back into the game using patches. This means that there is still a possibility that they will listen to fans and add these Pokemon in using future game updates, which I would be fine with, even if it's a couple months after release. Just how Pokemon Bank functionality has been limited to a couple months after release in the past few generations. They also said that Pokemon that aren't able to be transferred will still have an active role in Pokemon Home. This I don't quite know what to make of, but who knows, perhaps you could battle within Pokemon Home itself? I don't know. At this point, there are just so many unknowns, but I do know one thing. I do not like Game Freak's decision or reasoning for the decision to cut out Pokemon from Sword and Shield. But enough about what I think. What do you guys think? Do these statements from the Pokemon Company change your opinion at all? Let me know in the comments section below. Anyway guys, that's all for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for some more Sword and Shield content.